The ancient Greeks played an integral role in forming modern society. We have a lot to thank the Greeks for the from system of government to aspects of the justice system and even plumbing. Not all practice stood the test of time. Food as intimacy in ancient Greece was a far cry from modern romance. Ancient Greece views copulation therefore less conservative than contemporary societies. Doing the dirty with both men and women was the norm at Athens, and men often took on proteges, who doubled as passive physical partners. Copulation in ancient times played an important role in culture and societal hierarchy, but the same does not apply to kissing. Men expected women to become homemakers and bear sons, despite in fact ancient Greeks frequently perished while giving birth. Many think of ancient Greece as a free-for-all when it came to physical relations, and in some ways it was. There was, however, social structures and unspoken rules concerning the practice. Before they get started, be sure to subscribe to the Journey History channel. Stigmas surrounding sexual identity didn't exist in ancient Greek culture, at least for men. Relation between men was not only acceptable but encouraged. There was no word for homosexuality either. The practice was part of the broader concept of love or aphrodisia, influenced by gender or sex. This is not to say it was a golden age for relationships between two people of the same gender. Historians believe ancient Athenian men regarded penetration and dominance as a status symbol. If a man acted the passive partner, pathikos, or if a fully grown man permitted penetration from another grown man, he often endured ridicule. The ancient Athenians had a derogatory name for these men, kinaidoi. In ancient Greece, with carnal pleasure being so matter of fact, it's reasonable to assume self-pleasure too would appear less taboo. Though it had further restriction than in modern times. As a matter of public discussions, self-love was usually an object of humor, as in Aristophanes' play there the public deemed it an inferior, silly act. Forms of self-love took prominence in art, but they often depicted lesser-known citizens, such as women, partaking in the act. These illustrations often showed self-pleasure during or after a physically charged event, such as a symposium. Frequently, it was the female workers pleasuring themselves, not the men. Self-love was also associated with slaves. It was a symbol of their lowly status. Coitus had widespread acceptance in Greek society, but to pleasure oneself without another person involved was embarrassing by Greek standards. Ancient Greece relaxed views of carnality included some practice society now deems reprehensible. Paiderasty, or then an older man took on a young male student as a protege and physical partner, is easily the most distressing. The act reflected attitudes about domination and submission in Greek culture. As intimate relations, they are more about satisfying the dominant partner than the submissive one. Plato's Symposium suggests the love between two men. Specifically, the love between an older man and a younger man is the pursuit form of love, as it has roots in the desire to share knowledge and world with. Desire served as a bonus, but not the driver of the relationship. Greece did not always welcome these attitudes. By around 450 BCE, laws discouraged harlotry. Through the laws mostly applied to men, they affected a person's ability to run for office, which was not possible for women. Still, it is believed that there was a large discrepancy between official laws and actual custom. The patriarchal norms of ancient Greece combined with mythology filled with gods snatching and violating women, implied that forcing oneself on someone was not a heinous offense. The Greek gods, particularly Zeus, were notorious for snatching up and tricking women into copulation. It wasn't only mortal women who suffered at the hands of ravenous gods. Goddesses were also victims of such assault in myth. Thus, the gods weren't like the aspirational, flawless figures of other religions. It's clear the attitudes towards such assault were laxer in ancient times. Seducing a married woman was allegedly then forcing oneself on someone, as it required one to treat another man's property as him own, making it a kind of theft. Herodotus' writings, reportedly echoed by the Greeks, say that while forcing oneself on someone was unjust, it did not avenging. Christianity and Catholicism typically paint carnal pleasure as a sinful act unless performed by a husband or wife. But because the ancient Greeks predate the spread of these religions, they attached little to no religious significance to sex whatsoever, leading to their more accepting attitudes of different interests. Nudity wasn't shameful, hence prevalent unclothed statue in ancient Greek art. Public plays and artwork could also depict eyebrow-raising act worthy of inspiring Aegean adults-only warning. Ancient Greece allowed relations between people of the same gender, as well as relations deemed criminal by modern standards such as pederasty. To the ancient Greeks, depicting male genitalia in art was not an incident act. The Herm, a statue of the god Hermes, aka the messenger god and guardian of fertility, was one such portrayal. The god's bust sits atop an underburning pillar, save for a realistically rendered phallus at the appropriate level. Herm sat outside people's houses, near temples, at crossroads. People even used them as signal posts. In 415 BCE, during the Peloponnesian War, a vandal chopped all the genitals of the Herms of Athens. Some accused an Athenian statesman, Alcibiades, of the vandalism. He denied the charge, and his enemies sentenced him to execution in absentia. The Greeks valued intimate relations as part of their culture, which meant not having it was a problem. Thus, they devised all kinds of cures for impotence. Treatments involving snakes were popular because they believed snakes could self-heal. Like we, science lizards had association with prowess in the bedroom. Consuming a lizard allegedly improved the libido. Another cure entitled rubbing male genitalia with a mixture of paper and honey. Some ancient Greeks hypothesized anxiety about carnality in childhood caused impotence. As with many things in ancient Greece, there's little written about women's intimate problems or medical solutions. Sex work was a legal occupation for both men and women in ancient Greece. Athenian women were allegedly homemakers, and they recruited as an escort to venture out to the city. Some women, like ladies of the night, concubines, and courtesans, had a little more freedom due to their status in Greek society. There were also state-run bordels in ancient Greece. These parallel typically often slaves for carnal pleasures, but some women became porne or street workers. Concubines, they are somewhat higher class, as they usually had a contract with one man rather than to a bordello. Courtesans, they are the highest class. They had an education and could entrain men with both their wit and body. Intended for all the male clients, male sex slaves couldn't work in public service later in life. The common conception was that people who sold their bodies could easily succumb to political bribes. Ancient Greeks didn't root sexuality in mystery, so it's no surprise it was pivotal in their humor. Aristophanes, one of Greece's great comic writers, wrote particularly raunchy plays. The Athenian woman in Lysistrata, for instance, embarked on a sex strike in an attempt to end the Peloponnesian War. The play brings this joke about promiscuity, double entendres and bawdy humor. Allegedly, Aristophanes had 106 ways to describe the phallus and some 91 words for female genitalia. There was also raunchy graffiti scrolled throughout Greece, with sayings like, "Weep you girls, my phallus has given you up, now it penetrates men's behinds, goodbye wonderful femininity." And Theophilus, "Don't perform oral sex on girls against the city wall like a dog." Carnality was everywhere in ancient Greece, but kissing was not. Thought no forbidden, kissing was more the domain of greetings. Later, the Romans, who adapted much from Greek cultures, greeted one another with a kiss on the lips. Ancient Greece societal norms had restriction on kissing full. Kisses between family and pacts between men were more socially acceptable than kisses between men and women in public, regardless of their relationships. The public viewed women who passionately kissed others disreputable and domineering, an undesirable trait, as they preferred women to play a passive role. If a man did opt to kiss his wife, it was likely to check if she was drinking, then he was away. Most people encounter the word Symposium through Plato's work of the same name, but this only touches on some features of the famous dinner and discussion parties. Men gathered to drink and discuss lofty topics, and the party didn't end with clever banter. Lust was also a part of equation. Historians postulate female musicians and courtesans participate in intimate activities with the men at these parties. Plato's depiction of this style of party reflect a more sober version than what was likely common in ancient Greece. Since carnality was less taboo in ancient Greece, many didn't regard it as offensive or morally incorrect to discuss it openly. Few cultural symbols are more significant evidence of this than the satyr, the god-footed followers of Dionysus, the Greek god of wine and revelry. They incorporated their appetites, usually for nymphs, into their legends. Because the satyrs proved particularly crazy, their name became the foundation for satyriasis, a fictitious condition of extreme compulsive desire affecting men. In ancient Greece, the condition preceded becoming a literal satyr, god legs and all. In English, love means everything from what we feel for our families to romantic love. In ancient Greece, this wasn't the case. There were different types of love, and each had distinct words and gods to reflect significance. Aphrodite, one of the most famous deities of love, reigns over intimate love. Is her name, which gives us the word aphrodisiac, a substance increasing physical desire. The god Eros ruled over intimate passion, and the word erotic stems from his name. There even if there weren't a specific god to rule over a particular type of love, the ancient Greeks had unique words for them. Ludus is a playful, fun love, the kind often found between children or honeymoon stage lover, while agape is a form of altruistic, universal love. Pragma refers to a long-lasting love cultivated all the time. These aren't all the love types defining in Greek society, but by having a variety, they could separate desire, romance, relations, and play to emphasize their beliefs about each concept. So, this is a Cherny History channel, and sorry to my English.